first session. My first session was in eastern San Diego, North County, but inland. I'm not sure where. It was the house that the man who played Zorro on TV, which many of you have no idea who that is, but the older ones do. It was his house, and he lent it. And Luis was there apparently, although we didn't find that out until later. But oh, I suffered. And I suffered from pain. I had a lot of leg pain. And I went to see my Zumi Roshi. And I said, how are you doing? That's what he said. And I said, I have a lot of pain. And he said, well, why don't you sit in a more comfortable position? And I didn't hear that. I spent the next 40 years sitting with pain. But just recently, as I shared during council, I've been working on the pain in a different way than how I thought I was supposed to in early sitting. So I want to share that with you. But first, I want to tell you the story about how Dogen Zenji's enlightenment experience, which was in China. Dogen, of course, is the founder of the Soto school in Japan. He was practicing as Rinzai and Tendai in Japan, but he wasn't satisfied. He still wasn't satisfied with his realization. So he went to China. And while he was in China, this happened. He was studying with Zhu Jing. Once during late night zazen, Zhu Jing told the monks, studying Zen is the dropping off of body and mind. Hearing this, the master was suddenly greatly awakened. And then it goes through a bunch of stuff I won't tell you about, but in the end, Zhu Jing says to Dogen, you dropped off body and mind. And Dogen bowed. And then Jugen said, you have dropped off, dropping off. Everything dropped off, including the idea of dropping off anything. So that was Dogen's awakening traditionally. That's how we see Dogen's awakening. But this body mind that's dropped off, what is that? What is it that's dropped off? This aggregate of thoughts and feelings and sensations that I call me, I call Seisen, and that I relate to, is the most important thing. Clearly, dropping that off. And of course, not everybody does Zen to do that, to have that experience. People do Zen practice for to feel better, to feel calmer. I don't know, it always makes me laugh when I hear that meditation calms you down, because I often feel very agitated during session. I often encounter anger, fear, disappointment, grief, old stuff, old stories, new stuff, anxiety about what's going on now, worry about the future, But some people meditate and do find it calming. I think when we get into this dropping off body and mind, we also get into that body and mind. And that's why we've been talking a lot about the intersection of therapy and Zen practice. And I just think therapy is so helpful for the really deep Zen practice, where you want to do this, you want to drop it. And there's so many techniques in therapy that are so helpful for letting go of ideas, letting go of stuck places, as well as Zazen and session practice, which is wonderful for letting go of stuck places. And where we're stuck, there's so many different ways to be stuck on our body and mind, our little self, our little important self, our thoughts. And of course, when we sit, we practice letting go of our ideas and concepts. Breathing, go back to the breath. But also our feelings and our practice with feelings. What I recommend is to experience the feeling, to repress feelings is problematic, as we all know. And I think sometimes then people think that I'm not supposed to have feelings. I'm supposed to be without emotion. That's what an awakened person is. But to my mind, that's nuts, because we have hormones. We have this karma, which is this body, which has the desire to survive as primary. And along with that is many, many emotions. And I don't think that's going to stop unless it's done neurotically. But we need to learn how to work with our feelings. And what I usually recommend is be it. So anger comes up, the thought, well, I'm a Zen practitioner. I don't have anger. Let that go and allow yourself to really be mad about whatever it is. Let go of the story, because if you really go into the anger, you can go way back. You know, that birthing stuff people used to do. I don't know if they still do it, but you experience your birth again. That is a real source of anger, I think, for many of us. What is this? I was in a nice warm place and now I'm not there anymore. So that anger is ancient. So getting to know our emotions. But what I wanted to talk about was this pain work, which is new for me. I've shared it, and I shared it in council, and people seemed interested. So I thought I'll go into a little bit more. I don't quite know how it works. I know that I have a therapist who's really making a difference with this pain reprocessing therapy in my relationship to pain. And actually, I'm experiencing this pain that I call chronic pain that I've had for 50 years, over my whole life. The first time I remember this injury was at church camp. I was 12, 13, and I pulled this muscle, pulled this tendon, and then later I pulled it again in Aikido, and it still hurts, and can be quite painful. And I always thought it's just this old energy. It's just this chronic pain that I had. But what my therapist said is tendons don't take 40 years to heal. the theory behind the pain reprocessing therapy is that just like we get destructive ideas in our mind, like if we didn't have a secure childhood, or if there's trauma in our childhood, we'll form an idea, I can't trust anybody, or I can't trust women, or I'm a failure, or whatever. And so that's a place where therapy is so useful, and letting go of ideas that stand in our way of realizing what Dogen realized, dropping off body and mind, to work with those old ideas. Well, they're saying in the same way, we get an idea of the pain. We hold on to the idea when the pain is actually not physically there anymore. It's just the idea. And now they've got scientific, and she sent me the paper about it, but I do have a degree in biochemistry, and the reason I left biochemistry is I don't want to read that kind of stuff anymore. So I'm just going to believe it that that there's scientific evidence that there's no injury there anymore, and still the pain. And also what they say is many times, like, I'm old, so if I went and had my hip x-rayed, there probably is arthritis there. So it would be easy to say, oh, well, that pain is due to arthritis. But they're finding, and they have scientific proof now, that everybody has that, and it actually doesn't hurt. That certain degeneration of the bones and stuff really doesn't hurt. But the medical profession will say, well, you have pain there because of this degeneration, when really you have pain because you have the idea of pain from when you did get hurt a long time ago. It kind of reminds me of, I remember this one time, it was Halloween, and I fell down. I was a few blocks from home. In those days, you didn't have to go trick-or-treating with your parents. And I fell down, and it hurt really bad. And then I held on to that pain to go home so my mom would kiss it and make it well, right? And it was really hard work holding on to the pain because it didn't hurt that long. So anyway, that's what I think of as this. So I don't know if it resonates for you or not. It totally resonated for me. It was like, that's me. Why am I still experiencing discomfort from an Aikido injury 40 years ago? It doesn't make sense. So there's a couple exercises. So pain in session, we experience pain. Everybody does. And it's one of the things that we work with. And there's the way I always worked with it was be the pain, but also sit with it. And my Zumi Roshi told me, be more comfortable, sit more comfortably. But I got in the idea as I was supposed to be the pain and sit with it, even though it got worse and worse. And it didn't make sense to me. Why is it getting worse and worse if sitting with it is supposed to work? But I would sit with it. And every once in a while, there would be a samadhi experience and the pain would disappear. That's the whole deal about dropping off body and mind. If your concentration becomes very strong, sitting for a long time, sitting concentrated for a long time, you will have a samadhi experience. And there's different kinds of samadhi experiences. Apparently, in Zen, we only think there's one, dropping off body and mind. But you know it when it happens, because usually it feels great. And there's, like I said, there's different kinds. There's blissful samadhi, which feels blissful. And that's maybe the kind we hear about the most, is because it feels good. And Dogen talks about Jiju-Zanmai Samadhi, which is self-fulfilled, joyous samadhi, kind of that blissful samadhi. But this dropping off body and mind, that's, you're gone. Body and mind is gone. So whatever pain, whatever suffering is gone, because that's not who you are. The experience of the oneness of all things and the sense of self drops off. So I think that's what happened to me, is I sat with terrible pain, and it would go away when I had a samadhi experience, some kind of little samadhi experience. But this is new for me, and I've been doing these exercises, and it was always bothersome to me, though. Then the pain comes back. It isn't always gone. But I've been doing these exercises that I'll share with you that are helping me to really sit with much less pain, and to work with the pain in terms of as an idea and as something that can be alleviated. And a big basis of this, which I'm really pushing now, is that we don't sit with torture, pain. I'm really not recommending that. Sit in a more comfortable position. If that's a chair, great. If that's lying down, fine. If that's walking, fine. But I think it's easier to work with the pain if it's manageable. When it becomes just excruciating, we should lighten up with it. So yeah, if you wiggle a little, if in the middle of a sitting period, if you have to get up, I'm saying do that. And then I found yesterday, I got in that place of just that excruciating pain, and I didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay with it. I didn't want to change positions. So, okay, I stayed with it. I followed that urge. And I do know that that is a way to have a samadhi experience, is through the pain. The sitting with that very excruciating pain can be a gateway to samadhi. So I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just talking about myself and offering a few suggestions. But the exercises for working with pain, and some of these you've heard before. One is be the pain. Just be the pain and breathe into the pain and breathe out. And if something comes up, like a memory or a feeling, that's great. Notice it and be the pain. Another way is to focus on something else. Focus on the hara, your center. That's where we usually focus, is a couple inches below the belly button. You'll focus on your hara to move away from the pain. It's another exercise. But the thing that's been most helpful for me is to ask yourself, be with the pain. This is being with the pain and asking myself, what is the feeling? And when my therapist first started asking me that, I was like, it hurts. That's the feeling, it hurts. I had no sense, even though I've been working with feelings as long as I've been doing Zen practice. I had no sense there was feelings there. But once you start asking yourself, at least I found, oh my goodness, grief, anger, disappointment, excitement, fear, everything. But particularly the negative feelings, I kind of stored there in the pain. And once I acknowledged them and really notice, oh, I'm afraid, or I'm grieving, or angry, I'm really angry, that the pain lessens. So anyway, I just want to give that possible help for working with the pain. Before my Zumi Roshi died, that's what he talked about all the time. Very last part of his life, he felt so many people are discouraged from Zen practice because of the pain. And he started teaching Qigong, which is another practice that helps. You visualize the top of your head, that's the crown, the energy comes in through the top of your head, and then it moves through your body. And just notice the places that are tight, the places that hurt. And as the energy moves through, it moves the blockages that are there. Or imagine where the pain is, imagine there's a hose, and open the hose to open the energy. This is working with the key energy in the body. But I do encourage you to look at the possibility that some of your physical pain may be an idea, and that you may be able to work with the pain just by changing your mind. And certainly recommend working with a therapist on that. And for some reason, I wanted to talk about the Eightfold Path just briefly, because talking about mindfulness, because this being your pain and then noticing what the feelings are is a mindfulness practice. I think it's a mindfulness practice, which is labeling. And of course, this is a tool. It's not like Jiju's on my samadhi, being totally one with yourself and all things. No separation, being no separation. So mindfulness, we kind of separate and we go, so I feel the pain, so I label pain. And then what's the emotion? Nervous about, is what I'm saying helpful? And just keep on noticing. And mindfulness that's in all things. Working with the pain, just working with sitting. Notice shoulders tight. I'm angry about having to get up so early, tired. That's mindfulness practice, and it's part of the Eightfold Path. So many people study mindfulness on its own now. It's become a technique that helps many people with their lives. But mindfulness is also part of the package that Buddha presented to wake up. That includes samadhi, the meditation part of the Eightfold Path is samadhi. But then the insight, or the wisdom part, is our view. So we have these samadhi experiences, and Dogen says that's not yet enlightenment. I can't remember the exact words, but seeing the oneness of all things is not yet enlightenment. Enlightenment is when our view and our life shifts to encompass the fact of the oneness of all things. When we see our life as an aggregate rather than a set thing. And when we change our resolve, our vow, when our vow becomes to continue to deepen our practice and to help all beings realize this great fact that there is no pain. And there is, and there isn't. So once we get more accustomed to samadhi, the painful things in our life, the suffering in our life is still there and still hurts, but it's much more bearable. It's much more endurable. It's much more easy to live in this life filled with pandemics and wars and hatred and racism and inequality. It's much easier to live in that life and to work in that life and to make it better, knowing the fact is right now, everything is perfect. The other side, everything is perfect and there is no pain. So again, I appreciate so much everybody's practice and that you have that resolve to refine your view and to wake up to the truth of your life. Like I said, it's encouraging for everyone. And we're a small group. Sometimes you think, oh, we're such a small group. Why are we doing session? It's not worth it unless there's 30 people here. But Dogen says every moment of Zazen is pure enlightenment. And it doesn't matter if it's 3 people or 100 people sitting together. It affects everything. It turns away from self-centered, dualistic living to openness, oneness, living with love. That's what some of you weren't here. I'll end with this. Kosei said, maybe it was after our council, I can't remember what it was after, but I guess the screen in there has Spotify songs on it. Who knows why? But the song was Love Shack. And I went, oh my God, that's the perfect name for the Zendo. The Love Shack. So sitting together, we're opening up to our true nature, which is love for all beings. So thank you very much, and let's just keep on going.